Alder Watson has 2 agenda items, so I'm going to give her another 5 minutes, just if that's all right with everyone.
We'll look.
All right, time being 5:17 on Thursday, November 14th, 2024. I will call in a quorum of members present, I'll call the Infrastructure and Facilities Committee to order. And we will start with agenda item number 1, approval of minutes from the October 10th, 2024 meeting.
I move to approve.
All right, I got a motion to approve from Alder Neal, second from Alder Watson. Any comments, questions? See none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None are opposed. That passes. Agenda item number 2, discussion and possible action on closure of 28th Avenue between Madonna Drive and West Wausau Avenue, including a detour route. So I will start this one with, we did receive 2 petitions. They've been put in front of you. We will make sure that these get entered into the minutes so that we have a public record of them. And would anyone like to speak about them? Yeah, sure. Name and address, and then.
Karen Singsheim, 5177 North 28th Avenue, Apartment 16, Wausau, Wisconsin. I did collect some signatures. I wasn't able to get out like I wanted to. I not feeling well for a week, so I wasn't going to stand out in the cold. But there's a lot of people that after I said I turned them in, they're going, well, I wish you would have asked. I says, I was here 3 days. And, nobody did it. But there's so many people in favor of keeping that open, and it's like there aren't that many driveways on that hill. I know it's a little steep, but like the one guy said that was here last time, when it's slippery out or when it's really, really snowy, you just know not to go down that hill. Any other time, it's fine. And to go around, and I waste a quarter tank of gas in 2 weeks going that extra route because I go that every day. And that's a lot of money in my pocket that I shouldn't have to pay if I could just go right up the hill. So I would really like to see it open. I would really like to see, and there's a lot of other people that would like to see it open and not have to take that god-awful route with all the kids. There was a couple kids that ran out into the street in front of me the other day, and another lady dog walking. I watched the guy whip past her. The dog almost got hit. So this is an ongoing problem, taking that route around. And I don't want to have to take any route around. As it is now, I'm trying to go over down, I don't know what that curvy road is that you guys put in. that awful curvy road. Well, it is when you come off of West Wausau Avenue trying to turn onto it because you can't see. But that's another issue. But anyway, I don't like to go that way because of that corner. So my only other alternative is to take the 10-block detour. So, and maybe somebody will pay my gas from here. So, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Anyone else? Name and address?
George Mosier, 710 North 32nd Ave. When we moved there, I didn't anticipate the kind of traffic. I'm almost take my life into my hands to go across to get my mail, and people do really come down there. Okay, my wife and I circulated the other petition, and we have about 100 signatures on it for all people that are in that whole area back in there, off in Timberline, even in, granted, people that are in town of Stettin, but they still use that road, okay? And the traffic is horrendous. Let's just put it that way. And I can, it's tenfold from what it used to be. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? That was it. Okay.
710 North 32nd Avenue, Fay Mosier.
Welcome.
The only thing I'd like to add is whatever your decision is, if you continue to use 32nd Avenue, as residents of 32nd Avenue, we will request that you put at least two speed bumps on 32nd Avenue because of the speed and the amount of traffic. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mike Witter, 2904 Maple Hill Drive. That road, as Karen has said and Faye has said, it's used heavily. I use it every day, or did use it. And speaking to another friend of mine, Dave Sittler, who uses that road to go on the other side, go on the Highway U. There's no need, I mean, it's a hill. And as I said probably last time here, pretty much all of Wausau is a hill. So we're going to have to shut down 28th Avenue, shut down Hilltop, shut down Troy Street, shut down Franklin Street, because they're hills. So this road was there before any of us were alive. And I don't know if any of you guys use it. And that's kind of immaterial because you're going to do what you're going to do. But it's profitable for us as tax-paying people to use that, and also for emergency vehicles to come and use that. Going all the way around, like Karen said, is going to take far more time, and they never know what's going to be in there. Dogs, cats, children, people walking to get their mail. It just doesn't make sense. Please reconsider it and open it up. And if you're going to close off 28th Avenue for the winter, close it off from 28th Avenue to Maple Hill or Maple Creek Drive, so at least we can use that part of the road. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Okay, seeing no one, I will open it up to the committee. I think I'll start it off because this is my district, and I've been thinking about this a lot. I did see the traffic report. Alan, that's up to date? Or when were they done?
Yeah, so they were done over the last several weeks. The counts are actually up, what times they were put on there. For instance, they were on 28th and West Wausau, October 21st to the 25th. So on your sheets, it says when the counters are out there. So basically through October.
If the traffic flow's changed enough where stop signs could be changed or added, Is that something we would bring to committee, or is that something that the department can just do?
That's something
With
that
traffic
was just,
stuff.
yeah, that's something that was just assigned to me as city engineer to look at stop signs. I guess just as general traffic here, what we, if you look at the first page, we put counters out on 28th, just south of Madonna. And then I also put them on 32nd Avenue, north of Madonna. So you can see the 28th Avenue traffic has really decreased. Back in 2023, going up 28th Avenue, according to the DOT's counts, there was between 1,700 and 1,900 cars a day. Our counters came up with about 739 cars per day on average. 32nd Avenue, as you can see, has a average daily traffic of about 1,300 cars. Unfortunately, that was not counted by the DOT in 2023, so I don't have anything to compare that to, prior to the closure of 28th Avenue. But the one thing that was kind of, we talk about speeding on 32nd Avenue, the average mean speed was 26 miles an hour, so well within acceptable range. And then the second page has 28th Avenue, north of West Wausau Avenue, and then on West Wausau Avenue. Again, in 2023, the DOT had recorded on 28th Avenue about 1,900 cars a day, and we observed about 1,000. So we're almost half the amount of cars using 28th Avenue now as compared to in 2023. Again, we did not have any 23 data on West Wausau Avenue, so I don't know how those 1,200 cars compare to 2023. Westwood Drive, there didn't seem to be a big change in Westwood Drive. We have about 886 cars a day. Back in 23, there was 840 cars a day, so not, that's only a 40 car a day, and that could just be that's really not a significant change in the amount of cars on Westwood Drive. It is an increase, but not a significant increase.
Okay, and then we have discussed adding the detour around to go down Pine Ridge Boulevard and up Bridge Street and then to Westwood Drive.
Yeah, so the way it's signed now, and that can be changed, but the way the sign department put that up now, when you're driving south on 28th Avenue from the north, if you're approaching West Wausau Avenue, they have signs up that say, road closed ahead, and then but the detour sign says either way. It says use 32nd Avenue or use Westwood Drive. So it sends you in either direction. If you do take West Wausau Avenue to the west to 32nd, there is another detour sign down there sending you down 32nd. But I did notice that there aren't any detour signs at Westwood if you take the other way. It just says use Westwood. So, I mean, we could continue to send people either way and better mark the detour, or, I guess there's options out there. If you're headed north up 28th Avenue coming from the south, as you approach Madonna, it does take you up Madonna and then, 32nd to West Wausau Avenue. So really, as you're headed northbound, there is only one direction it takes you. So I guess we can leave it the way it is now. I think it's functioning. I haven't heard any complaints. People kind of know where to go, or we can better define the detour, I guess.
Would you like a motion or consensus or?
I don't know if it requires, it's up for discussion, I guess.
Sure.
I guess if we do decide to, I guess one suggestion I would have, if we do take people to the west, down 32nd Avenue, I think it would make some sense to post the detour 32nd down to West Hill Drive for southbound, just to keep some of that traffic off Madonna. You split the traffic between Madonna and West Hill. The detour traffic, the north and southbound would take two different lanes, and that would make some sense too. I think it's functioning now the way it is, but I guess if this committee has a different idea, we can definitely post it however you guys wish.
I just know a lot of, everyone here is kind of in the 32nd to 30 Avenue range, so I think any signage we can do to get people to Westwood and make that more clear, I guess I would be in favor of that.
So that would be mark the detour towards Westwood and not towards 32nd.
I would be, I guess, make the Westwood branch, I would be okay leaving them going both ways, but make the Westwood one more prominent and visible, even going north. Because I don't think there is a detour sign right now going north.
Going north to head towards Westwood, there is not. It's kind of yeah, that's a tough one because then it takes you down West Hill to Pine Ridge to Bridge to Westwood. It's, and you're trying to catch people before the closure, which is always tough. But, I mean, we could mark that as a detour route also.
I guess I would like to see that.
Okay.
Any other comments, discussion? Alder Neal?
Thank you. Well, you know, we have all of these people that have signed the petition and have spoken out that they want, 28th open. The petition says repaved. I would turn to a director to kind of fill us in on the options for 28th in terms of keeping it open. Okay, first you've got, like just retopping it, and that's something that's been done, I don't know how often, and it seems to be not productive because it needs to be done over and over again. We have erosion and all that sort of thing. And what we're really talking about, if it's going to be open, what is going to be a total reconstruction. And so I think people need to know what the pain, financially would be for that. And it could be 2026? So in 2026 projected dollars, what are we talking about to open this up, either partially or completely? A little bit more detail on that if we could, just for discussion purposes.
I'm not sure if we've done any full cost estimates. I'll leave that up to Alan, but we haven't really dove into that. It would be a full reconstruction, right? We have a lot of issues with that road and drainage and everything else. Whatever happens here is slated to be done in 2026. Now, with the rains and the water that we had this past year, the reason it's closed is because we had undermining of the pavement buckled, and we have a lot of issues there right now, and it's really not safe to drive on. So just to get it open temporarily obviously wouldn't happen this year, but even if we were to do it next year, would be a significant cost. We can bring those back to the committee, that's fine, with just some ballpark figures. The full reconstruction, I don't know where we'd be at with that, Alan, trying to figure that out.
Yes, what I committed to is bringing some numbers to the December meeting.
Yeah.
So we'll have some with the, just making the cul-de-sacs, basically keeping it closed. I was gonna have an estimate. An estimate to do the county's version, I guess, a 2-lane routing it over to 30th.
Right.
And then we're reconstructing it as it is. I'll give some, construction cost estimates for those three in December.
Along that same line, I do have that community meeting scheduled for December 9th at Grace United Church. If we could have those numbers for then, I expect that to be more of a Q&A session as opposed to something less formal than this. Alder Neal.
So other than, the opening up all the way and, when we talked about option 1 and option 2, there was some voiced public opinion in favor of option 2, although, of course, opening up 28th completely is, the overwhelming desire. But option 2, that would still be a 2026 project as well. And these detour routes that we see here, if we did go with option 2, this would all stay in place, though, basically as traffic pattern, right?
Correct, and any changes that, the committee asks us to do, like, signing those. So, and that's kind of why it's being brought back to, as Alan had talked about, are there any changes on the detour route that you want us to make, redirecting traffic in other places, but yeah.
Yeah, obviously, once we do decide on the way to go and
Yeah.
the road is reconstructed, there obviously won't be a detour anymore. It'll just be
Right.
the normal traffic pattern, but I think until a final resolution and a final reconstruction is done, we have to maintain a detour.
You know, I think we're agendized here for discussion and possible action. I'm not quite sure, other than some recommendations or suggestions, what other action we're prepared to take tonight. I'm a little concerned, no biggie, but just a little concerned, that on the agenda item itself, staff recommendation, there is none. And I really kind of like respect and rely on staff's opinions, have for years, and want to, because we have to deal with, realities, and we have to deal with, what can be and what, can't be, really done, and certain degrees thereof, right? I'd like to see recommendations. And it just makes it a little bit easier to weigh these things out, so, thank you.
Sure.
I would say one thing too, that there is a safety concern on this hillside, right? It is extremely steep. It doesn't meet federal highway guidelines for design. There's no way for us to flatten that area out. And so, we talk about other hills in the city, but this one is significantly steeper. It's a huge challenge for us to keep it open in the winter. The plow trucks going down. During inclement weather, it gets pretty dangerous. And so we do have cars sliding down it. So that is another reason that the city is looking at an option to close this, is simply because of the hill and the hazard that is there because of the steepness of that hill.
And then follow up, to that point, we're not living in the Rockies or anything, but, you see where they close passes in the winter, they open them back up in the spring, maybe close them again after a spring squall comes through. But so what, as an option of closing this during the winter months and opening it up in the more clement months, and doing some patchwork, something like that, another option we can throw in front of us.
Sure. We've had requests from our drivers to close it in the winter, right? Just because they obviously can't plow it going up, right? So they start from the top, and then by the time they get to the bottom in inclement weather, they're doing 45, 50 miles an hour, right? So with two blades down, and it gets pretty hairy. So I think that could possibly be another option. I don't know what that closure would look like, would we have permanent arms put in as part of the design? I don't, with lighted, and then how we do that, I think that would be just, something else we'd have to look at too.
If we did do that, which I'm kind of thinking is a reasonable option, then I guess we need to have a feeling for what kind of non-winter type, patch work or whatever would need to be done to just get it passable and safe until the next winter comes along.
Yeah, if we were going to do that, we're going to have to reconstruct it. So, that roadway, there's not really a scenario that we could just kind of continue to patch what's there, right? So unless the city wants to put significant money into a temporary repair next year until a 26 full reconstruction, that detour right now is proposed to stay up until 26 when it gets reconstructed. Yeah.
Any other comments? None?
Well, I think we've heard some recommendations about improved signage or, for the detour plan in the meantime, and, I think we should just go ahead and, do what we can do along those lines to make this a more traffic-friendly thing. it seems like 32nd has some significantly higher speeds, although the 70 might have been just one person, being crazy. But, and I know we have certain standards about trying to ameliorate, speed if it becomes a perceived problem, even if, in a temporary detour, if that's what it was. So are there some steps we can take, like, additional stop signs? I don't know that we can do speed bumps, but anything like that to kind of, calm down the traffic on 32nd?
Yeah, stop signs, no. Yeah, speed bumps, no, just simply because of winter season and plowing and maintenance of, I mean, really, it's we could look at purchasing some of those, signs that show your speed, right? And mounting them, so it's try to help make people aware of what they're doing. I think we did have a speed trailer out there, I believe. And so, there are those types of things that we could look at.
I had also had talked to Lieutenant Kurtzfall before, and just to ask if we could increase enforcement over there, or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll work with Alan to get the information he has so we can see what hours of enforcement we need to be out there, and we'll make that happen.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I guess the only action I perceived was maybe doing a vote on making Westwood, the Westwood side of the detour more visible signage-wise. So I guess I'll make that motion. And I got a second from Alder Neal. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That passes. And I think we'll move on to the next item. Thank you, everyone. We'll move on to agenda item number 3, discussion and possible action on parking restrictions on the south side of Oak Street at North Fifth Avenue. Alder Watson, you want to start this?
Yeah, so the 2 requests, the one on Oak and Qua, were from a resident that I have who works as a crossing guard for the schools. And he just brought it to my attention that parking too close to those crosswalks by the schools made it hard to see the little people when they try to walk across, right? So the idea, and I thought it was a very good idea, was to put like a no parking from here to corner, just so that when kids were crossing, it was a little safer. So I know there's already one there that's like only like residential parking from here to the alley section. I mean, if that's more agreeable for the committee, that would be cool too, just so that it's not, I don't know, it's easier to see the kiddos.
Not right on the corner.
Yeah, because they do really pull almost up to that sidewalk, so it gets hard to, when you're crossing, to see. And then we did have a speed kind of like ask on 6th Ave, just to see how fast people were going. And at times, I mean, people, like, I know when school let out, there were some 40-mile-an-hours down that side where the school is. So, I mean, just being able to see those kiddos a little bit better.
Sure. I know previously when we've talked about parking restrictions, Alan, I know we've discussed street size and other practices. Do you see any?
No, I think this
anything there?
makes sense to, as you can see in the picture there, that car just driving down Oak Street there, if that car is there, you're not going to see a kid at that walk there. So I talked with PD on it too, and so I think we're fine with the recommendation of putting no parking here to corner as shown on the map that I included. And on other streets, on other things when we've done it, we've used the hours from 7 to 4, the school hours. So to be consistent, I would say we use that 7, no parking here to corner from 7 to 4, which we've done in other school areas.
Sure. Alder Watson?
And I think, didn't we just update something on 4th Ave that it was like, we're gonna keep that 7 to 4 restriction? So I mean, like the 7 to 4 would be great. I think that's just the big problem is we just want to be able to see the kids. And I know that there's like still a lot of debate on what the school structure is gonna look like. But I mean, in the meantime, if that's a cheap option, like it's not too expensive for us to put up a sign, I think it'd be great.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, motion?
I'd make a motion
Okay.
to,
I'll second the motion.
All right, I have a motion to restrict parking on south side of Oak Street at North Fifth Avenue, here to the corner from Alder Watson,
from 7 to 4.
from 7 to 4, and second from Alder Larson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 4, discussion and possible action on parking restrictions on the east side of North 6th Avenue at Qua Street. And I believe this is the same thing?
Yeah, so this is just north of Bridge Street, and it's over by the other school. And it's just, again, just during school time would be perfect, just to make sure that the kiddos are visible.
Any discussion on that?
I move to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Alder Neal,
I'll second.
second from Alder Larson. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No, none are opposed. Okay, that passes.
Thank you, guys.
We'll move on to agenda item number 5, discussion and possible action on parking restrictions on the west side of North 7th Street at Washington Street. I don't see anyone's name on this, so Alan,
Yeah, a request was received by engineering to look at this, and you can tell from the pictures, if you are heading east on Washington Street, yeah, if you're heading east on Washington Street approaching 7th, if you look north or south, it's tough to see with that close to the intersection, and 7th is a heavily traveled street. Kind of people use that to avoid 6th, or, you know, as a shortcut, and it is a wider street, so, I mean, if we put that no parking, you know, back to corner restriction on there, I wouldn't put a time limit on this, I would just keep this, because it's not near a school, I would just keep it no parking here to corner back. I don't know, what was the recommendation, 15 feet? Yes, 15 feet back, I would make that recommendation, that we install both those 15 feet back from the crosswalk.
is that the cop shop in the back of that one photo?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just point of reference. All right. Any discussion?
Yep.
Alder Martins?
Yep, I travel, because I live somewhat near this neighborhood, I travel 7th Street a lot, like you said, to avoid some of the traffic on 6th Street. But that intersection definitely does get crowded, especially in the afternoons, because I think a lot of the red-eye employees will park on 7th to save the spots in front of the establishment for customers. So adding no parking at that intersection does make a lot of sense.
Okay. Alder Neal?
Thank you. You know, throughout the city, it's kind of like a minor bug of mine that we have parking allowed in a lot of places like adjacent to the corner. The last photo that we have in the grouping here is, you know, facing north on 7th. And again, you'd have to inch out to see that there's no oncoming traffic. It's just basically the same problem there as you have to the right. So I would amend, if I could, adding the 15 feet there too.
The staff report is for both north and southbound, or the north side of the intersection and the south side. So it'd be,
Oh, okay. I
It
thought
already is
all
in
right.
there.
All right, good. I'm sorry. I thought it was just for the one. Oh, no, there it is, there it is.
Yeah, if you look at the
Yep,
map.
I gotcha.
I guess just in general, a question, if it isn't marked, what's the rule? 3 inches from the sidewalk? Like, from the corner?
maybe Jillian can help us with that. I think, yeah, it was 3 or 4 feet, something like that.
4 feet? Okay. Thank you. Any more discussion?
I'd move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the parking restriction on North 7th Street at Washington Street.
I'll
by
second
Alder
that.
Neal. Second from Alder Larson. Any more discussion? All those in favor can say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None are opposed. That passes. Move on to agenda item number 6, discussion and possible action on final plat for Green Tree Meadows. And we'll let Alan start this one off.
Sure, I did, there was a request for some bigger size, so I just wanted to make reference that everyone knows where the subdivision is. There's 72nd Avenue, there is a subdivision here with Connor, Gavin, Morgan, and Connor Davis Drive, so this would be just to the north of that. That was the Teen Drive, it's here on the north side, so. This is where the subdivision is. And then this is a bigger version of it, if anybody has any questions. I know some of the writing gets small on those 11.5 by 17s.
Yep. Thank you.
The staff has worked with the developer and Vreeland and Associates, and Vreeland is here. If you have any questions on that, on the plat itself. I guess I'll open it up to questions. I mean, we did, this has gone through parks, it has gone through inspections. We worked with parks, inspections, the city attorney is here. She may have some comments. Dave Hempfner, our city surveyor, has looked at it. So all our departments have worked to develop this plat to the point it is. And engineering is comfortable with moving ahead with this final plat.
Okay. I'll just start off. Alder Tierney had asked to comment on this. I see she's in the audience. If she would like to, this is her district, if she would like to state her questions or concerns, comments.
Alder Tierney, District 9 is my, what I represent. And I have gotten some questions from the citizens of the Morgan Creek subdivision, which butts up right against that. One of the questions was, where those two meet, there's a lot of wetland area in there. And there's a concern of what's going to happen as that gets developed with those wetlands. I know that there's, I looked at the plat, and some of them have very limited buildable space because of the wetlands. But a lot of them have told me that they use 2 sump pumps in their basement just to keep their basements dry, and they're worried about what's going to happen during the construction of those properties that are butt up against theirs to keep that water from not coming over to their side.
I can say that the developer in putting these roads in here minimized the wetland disturbance, and that was intentional. In working with the DNR and permitting this, you have to minimize your impact. So maybe Dustin can speak to that, but I think they're under 10,000 square feet of wetland disturbance. And as far as constructability, I mean, that'll be up to the builders, and they'll have to stay out of the wetlands. I can tell you that. And if there's the water, once the roads get built, the water will be directed to the stormwater detention facilities off the road. So, I mean, that's all been designed into this.
Okay, but I guess the question is while they're under construction, that water is definitely going to be an issue. I've been out there, I've looked at it, and even when we're going through dry spells, it's wet. You need boots wet to walk through that. And if I lived butt up against it, I would also be concerned about during the process of construction, you're going to disturb some of that water. It's just, I mean, when you're digging and you're putting in a foundation, there's water where that foundation is going to get put in. There's just no way you're going to avoid it with that type of water table out there. And I think their concerns are justified that are butt up against their, how the developer is going to avoid. I mean, like I said, they're using some pumps now to keep the water out of their own basements, and they're worried about additional water during the construction process. coming into their side and causing them even more headaches and trying to keep their own basements dry.
I think the lots you're concerned about are the ones that butt right up to the Morgan Creek, and
Absolutely.
there are no wetlands delineated directly behind that on the map. So those lots, 21 through, ooh, this is where I need my glasses, 38, and maybe Dustin can come up and speak to this. There's no wetlands delineated along there, so I'm not sure. I mean, as with any home, they'll have to use construction erosion control, they'll have to put up silt fence, so, and our inspections department will be monitoring that. I think that the main chunk of wetlands is more towards 72nd, that there's a whole wetland complex there that's not going to be disturbed. But every lot, almost every lot has some sort of wetlands on it, except those ones along Arbavita Drive that do. One thing to note there, along Arbavita Drive and those lots to the south, the lots I just spoke of, there is going to be a tree preservation easement that the Parks Department has requested, that anybody who buys these lots cannot cut the trees on the back 10 feet of their lot. That's to try and keep a tree barrier between these new homes and the existing homes. That was at the request of the Parks Department.
Okay.
So that has been added to the plat.
And I guess my other question, or the concerns that I have, are the people of Morgan Creek. It's a neighborhood that has a lot of families in it, a lot of kids, a lot of people walking through that neighborhood. And I've seen that for a fact when I was hanging door hangers out there and talking to people. And the road traffic is a concern. They're asking if could be, at minimum, a stop sign, southbound traffic on 68th Ave at Sarasa. Because they said with another subdivision in there, they said there's people already that aren't stopping for the stop sign, that are going over the speed limit. And they're concerned that that's going to be even a bigger issue. So is that something that can be considered to try to keep the traffic under control in that area?
I guess we can look at stop signs after the development goes in. I mean, there is obviously a second way out. Cherrywood Drive
Right.
comes out to 72nd. And just to note, and then we can get to that more in the developer's agreement, but since you're bringing it up now, the Honey Locust Court, which is that little cul-de-sac off 72nd.
Yep.
They plan to build that first, and that obviously exits just out onto 72nd. And the lots along Arbavita Drive, they plan to do second. That would be their second phase. So the way we kind of structured the developer's agreement is they could construct Honey Locust Drive, and they could do the Arbavita Drive lots, but before they get into the Chestnut or the Olive Tree or the Tulip Drive lots, they have to construct the road out to 72nd. Cherrywood Drive, as it's labeled on the plat. So, that'll give the residents of that area, I guess what we're trying to avoid is having all that traffic come down 68th. We want Cherrywood Drive constructed so that this traffic can get out to 72nd that way and not necessarily have to go through 68th.
And I know that's a hope, but the chances of that all happening are not fantastic. I mean, there are still people that are going to take 68th, and I think to err on the side of caution, so that a stop sign, to err on the side of caution, when you're talking about another 300-plus homes in that area, I don't think that's a big ask.
Like I said, we can evaluate the stop signs based on the criteria where stop signs, the amount of traffic and such. What I can say is that based upon engineering, I'm not going to put them in just to control speed or to slow people down. That's not the use of a stop sign.
What is the use of a stop sign if it's not to control speed? and
It's to
slow people
control an
down?
intersection, but it's not for speed control.
I thought it was also a safety issue, putting in a stop sign.
It is, but you typically put it on the street with less traffic.
Okay, then if 72nd is going to have all the traffic, why would we not put it on 68th?
I guess I'd have to know where you're looking at the stop signs to
Well, I'm talking about where 68th comes out from the Morgan Creek subdivision. As, and again, I don't think that's a big ask for all the homes that are going to be in this area with kids riding bikes and people walking in those areas. I just think for safety's sake, it's just not a big ask. And I mean, if you guys got to go and do a traffic count on there, once this starts rolling, let's do it.
Yep, we can definitely do that.
Okay.
I will just add, Alder Tierney, I had the same thoughts and concerns. It might be worth talking with Alan offline or
Okay.
stop signs there has to be a science behind when they are put there, and a lot of times it's with traffic flow. So, and Alan's great at explaining all that. I don't think we need to do that here, but
Okay. And then I guess I would also like to see just a town hall type meeting for some of these folks. They just want questions answered. And they're not angry. They have questions. It's a big change for them. So I just would like them to be able to have that opportunity to have a town hall type meeting and be able to ask questions now that this is finalized. And I know I've talked about that before. Mayor Denny was in a meeting with me and Randy, and I believe it was Sean. But it wasn't finalized yet. Actually, Green Tree didn't even own the property yet. But now that it's finalized and people can take a look at this, I just think that having a town hall meeting and letting them be able to ask their questions and get some answers would be a reasonable ask. Now, whether it would be an engineer in Green Tree or Vreeland or whomever, I just think that's a reasonable ask when there's a big change going on in their neighborhood.
I guess I would recommend getting the developer's phone number right now and setting up some date, and I'm sure engineering would be more than happy to, I don't want to speak for them, but help you get mailers out once you guys get a date finalized.
Because I can,
The plat is online, obviously, with all these, so people can see what's going on. And if people want to call engineering, we'd be happy to answer questions.
and that's what I was told last time as well, but I think to be able to answer folks in a group setting, that way everybody hears the same thing at the same time. And I think that would be advantageous to that neighborhood. I don't
guess I'll-
understand why there would be pushback
Okay.
on that.
I'll take the direction from the committee. If that's what they want me to do, then we'll set something up.
Is there a neighborhood group over there?
Yeah, Morgan Creek does have a neighborhood group,
They do.
and I would actually ask the fire department, they have a,
Station 3?
yeah, or,
The community room?
Station 2, the community room,
Yeah.
to see if we could hold it there.
We've held meetings too at the Entrepreneurial Center, right on 72nd, right there.
And that would be beautiful too. They're not far from their neighborhood that way.
I guess I'm seeing by consensus. Alan, if you would like to get with Alder Tierney and the developer and find some date and set that
Sure.
up.
Yeah, right. So I don't know if yeah, we can talk, but I mean, we can send it, I guess, to everybody in that whole subdivision. I don't know if we need to go, where do you stop it? Then the apartments are on the other side of that. And I don't know if the apartment,
I think if we did Morgan Creek,
It's just more
because
the
I think
homeowners.
they're the ones that are most affected. I mean, yeah, there's the apartments across the street too, but they don't have small children,
Right.
and the biggest concern for me is safety. That's my biggest concern. But again, this would give everybody a chance to hear the same thing at the same time and ask their questions. And that would be greatly appreciated.
Sure. Do you want that timeline before the final plat goes to council, or, because I think this is going to go to council in December.
I think it can wait until after that. I don't think, I'm not looking for changes. I'm looking for explanations for them so that they hear from you guys, they can have questions answered, but, and not stalling the development, just getting information out.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Like I said, if anybody has questions from the, from the developer too, or the developer's representative, Dustin Breland is here from Breland and Associates.
Okay. I guess my one question is, Arborvitae to drive there, is that going to dead end for now? Would that end? That kind of ends there?
We have the phasing up here, I believe is one of them. So, I know it's a little difficult to see, but this would be constructed obviously as a phase, and then this connection to 68 would be constructed, and Arborvitae Drive would be just constructed. So that in this phase one, this traffic would have to go out 68.
Yep, I'm talking about the other way down Arborvitae. To the east.
Yeah.
Is that going to dead end? Nope.
No.
Middle
Oh,
of
this?
Yeah,
To the
yeah.
east.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna just dead end there. Until Sorensen owns this up on the hill now, and he's been kind of stagnant with that development. So this would eventually connect to the Sorensen subdivision on top of the hill there, well, if that ever goes. But yes, that would just be a dead end. But in this phase 1A, the traffic would come out this way, but we didn't want any more homes coming out this way, out 68, until this is constructed. So the developers agreement, which you're getting to next, would say that until they can't develop phase 4, 5, and 6 until they get this road constructed. So that would help alleviate the traffic concerns on 68.
Okay. Any questions, discussion? Motions? Alder Martins?
I'll make a motion to approve the developers, I think it's, what is it, the developers agreement, the
No,
plat?
We're on the plat right now.
The plat, yep, final plat for Green Tree Meadows.
Okay, I have a motion
I'll second that.
from Martins and a second
Alder
from Alder
Martins beat
Larsens. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes. Move on to agenda item number 7, discussion and possible action on development agreement with Green Tree Construction, Inc. for Green Tree Meadows subdivision. Alan, anything else to add?
No, I think if you've looked, the developer does the design, the city was going to do the inspection. It kind of lays it out in here whose responsibilities are for what. The developer has had a look at this. And I don't want to speak for him. I don't know if Dustin has some comment on that, but they are in general agreement with it. I mean, there still might be some tweaking to this a little bit before it goes to council, because I know that and the city attorney might have some comments for it too. So, but I know, Dustin, if you want to speak on the agreement.
The owners are very happy with the developer's agreement. So they're just very pleased with how much you guys are willing to help them out in regards to making the subdivision work.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve, or I'll let Lou do that.
I'll second it.
I have a motion from Alder Neal, second from Alder Larson to approve the developer agreement with Green Tree Construction. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? And that passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action on stormwater maintenance agreement with Colby Apartments LLC at 706 Fife Street, 1371 South 8th Avenue, 1363 South 8th Avenue, 1361 South 8th Avenue, 1355 South 8th Avenue, 1341 South 8th Avenue, 1337 South 8th Avenue, 1333 South 8th Avenue, 1331 South 8th Avenue, and 1327 South 8th Avenue. TJ, I don't see him. Alan?
No, I mean, this is the standard maintenance agreement that the owner of these apartments agrees to build and maintain the 2 infiltration basins and the 1 bioretention basin. And it gives the city a right to go out and inspect them. And if they're not kept up to snuff, then the city can order the owner to maintain them.
Okay. Yeah, they look like kind of 3 small ones on the backside of the property.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion if there's no further discussion, or there could be discussion.
Sure.
To move ahead with the stormwater agreement.
Okay, I have a motion from Alder Larson to approve the stormwater agreement.
I'll second.
Second from Alder Neal. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that passes. And we'll move on to agenda item number 9, discussion and possible action on security door policy. So I'll start with I'll start this one. I know this started in HR. There were some concerns. It came, I believe the policy we have in front of us answered all those concerns. I don't know if HR director would like to add anything to this. Between emails, it had, there was discussion of sending it back to HR to approve. And then there was discussion to send it to Public Health and Safety to approve. And since it's part of the facility control, I said it would be fine if we brought it through infrastructure and facilities. So that's why it's here. And I guess from what I seen, all the questions from HR were answered. I also like to think of this as a first draft, and if we need to make changes to it, if scenarios happen that we need to make changes to it, at least we have a backbone to start with. So I'll open it up to any further discussion.
I'll make the
Alderman
motion to accept the door policy, the security door policy.
Okay, I have a motion to approve.
Second that.
And a second from Alder Watson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that passes. Agenda item number 10, discussion and possible action on request for limited use of 1300 Cleveland Avenue for a training area. Dustin, you want to come up and give a little background?
Yeah, so obviously the Cleveland site is city-owned, and technically, maybe I could have used it. We've been using it for storage and stuff like that, but because it's been such a hot-button property, I thought it'd be better to ask permission before we did anything. What I'm really looking to do is create an area for my equipment operators to be able to train in excavation. So whenever we have to dig in the street, whether it's around our storm sewer, gas lines, electric, whatever it might be, the only real way to get good training on that is to actually get in a machine and start digging. This would give us an area where we could actually set up some infrastructure, bury it, and then give the operators a chance to practice digging it out, stuff like that, without actually taking the chance of damaging any infrastructure or anything like that. The site has a bunch of concrete on it, so we don't really have to build anything. We would just be using what's there. There's a large concrete pad, and there's a couple of old loading docks there that are all concrete. So all we would be doing is just blocking off one ends of the loading dock, and then we'd have an area basically totally encased in concrete where we could fill it up, put dirt in there, and then the operators would be able to train in there. So that's really all I'm looking for, is just kind of I don't know if it's up to you guys if you'd also like me to take this to council, or if just consensus with you would be good enough, but I'm just looking for temporary use. Basically, the concrete will prevent us from, I know the site is known to have some contamination, so the concrete prevents us from digging into any of the soils where we won't be disturbing anything. When it comes to if that site would ever get moved for development, it would be simple for us to move out, just simply dig our dirt out, take our stuff out of there, clean it up, and it's back to exactly as it is. So we really wouldn't be changing anything on the site.
So you just said you won't be digging down, you'll just be.
Correct.
You'll just be putting dirt on the concrete and excavating, because I guess my concern would be is, as you know, the environmentalist would be, is if you're gonna start digging up the soil there, what's gonna be going into the air? you know.
Correct.
And
Yep.
so,
In your packet, on page 50 of the packet, I put a couple pictures there. It kind of shows the loading docks. So basically, it creates 3 sides, a bottom, and then a platform up on top for us to put our machine. And we would actually take coffin blocks to close in the back end of it. So then the entire dig site's going to be encased in concrete so that there's no chance for us to dig into any of the soils underneath.
okay, thank you.
Alder Neal?
Thank you. So the equipment itself, will it ever be on soil, like on outside this enclosure? Or will it always be operating from a concrete surface?
Correct. The, at the top of the loading docks, there's the big concrete pad.
Okay.
That's where we actually have a couple of our trailers and other things stored now. So we would be placing the equipment right on the top of that, so everything would be on top of the concrete.
Okay. Well, good. It seems like there's no disturbance of, topsoil at all even, so I'd make a motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Alder Neal,
I'd second it.
second from Alder Watson. Any further discussion? I would like to, I'll just add, we should probably bring this to council just so that we can all talk about it, and the alders in that area can have their input. All right, any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that passes. And we'll move on to agenda item number 11, discussion and possible action on amending section 10.01.080 penalty regarding overtime parking or permit meter violations. Eric, you want to, I think this came from finance. This was a
Yeah,
recommendation
maybe
for finance.
Jillian, can you-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Betzwell.
Yeah, so as part of the 2025 budget process, this was a proposed revenue generator. Several years ago, when we went away from the parking meters, we switched it to first a violation would be a warning, and that was meant to be an educational piece for the public. As you see on the first description, it explains how much revenue would come if we got rid of the first warning. We're not looking to get rid of all first warning violations, just specifically the time expired, overtime parking, and no permit. And then with that, right now, with the parking system we are using, every warning that we issue, we have to pay a fee of $1.45 to the company. So,
All right, thank you.
yep.
And I know this went through finance, and there are communities that have similar parking fine structures out there. So, any further discussion?
Well, I'm sure that, the first time somebody gets, a fine for their first violation, they'll never come back to Wausau ever again. And I make a motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Alder Neal,
I'll second it.
second from Alder Watson. Any more discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. And I move this on to adjournment. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion from Watson, second from Neal. All those in favor say aye. 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 All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.